Hello everyone, it is midwinter here in Central Oregon. Not too much snow around, but I got a two-part video series for you. This is part one, of which I'm going to go on a walk and see what plants are available this time of year, and we're going to look at the medicinal uses, the edible uses, and the utility uses. I choose to experiment with eating wild plants and using them as medicine. It is not recommended for you to do that without consulting your doctor first. Has to be said. Bringing the pups with me. Come on, boy, let's go. Oh, look what I found. That's pretty old, but you can see over there we've got some of the leg bones, and then we've got the spine, the rib cage and all that here. This was definitely taken out by a mountain lion. Oh, Mr. Deer needs some dental work for sure. Crazy. Look at how these back molars are just like cracked in the middle. It's so bizarre. I think that I'm gonna set off this trail cam in one of these areas that seems to be the hot spot, right next to this carcass, and just set it up and see if I can capture one of these lions on video or any other wildlife that walks by. Really enjoy these trail cams. I've got quite a few pictures in the past. A mountain lion would be a good addition. I'm going to set this guy up and hopefully we can catch a mountain lion wandering by. Alright, set up. The wildlife have this sort of refuge down here because no one comes down here, so it's that's why I like to go down. So let me introduce you to Mullen. This is Mullen right here, and this plant, although it can be found all over the country and mostly in disturbed soils, sometimes in very big clusters, it's not native, it's from Europe, but it has some really good uses. I like Mullen a lot for hand drills in a friction fire. So right here I have a dead stalk, and you want to make sure that you harvest the dead stuff because you know it's going to be dry, and you'll just kind of shave off all of the leaves, trim back any of the high nodes and that are on the stem, and basically then cut your hand drill to length. But the beautiful thing is that, as you can see, it's very pithy, and that's kind of what you're looking for in a hand drill. Nice and straight, pithy, soft, works really well. The best thing that we have in this area. Mullen has some really good medicinal properties, the main focus being the upper respiratory tract, so chest congestion, chest infection and coughs. There are a variety of ways to prepare the plant to get the medicinal benefits. Making good old-fashioned tea is the easiest, and as you can see, the plant on my right here is dead. It's winter now. It's not the best time of year to harvest anything from the plant apart from the stalk. But let me show you the leaves. So this is what the mullen leaf looks like. It grows in a rosetta formation. You can see by the size of my hand, it's quite a small patch. They get much bigger throughout the summer. I've used the leaves as toilet paper in the bush. They have these real soft hairs on the outside of the leaf, which really make it just so comfortable to wipe on the old rear end. Mullen is also antimicrobial, so you can mash it up in the bush if you don't have any other means to make a poultice. So a lot of different uses with the mullen. It's a really good plant, and yeah, it's quite an easy one to identify. This is sagebrush, or sometimes called coastal sage, and although it's called sage, it's an artemisia. So it's from the same family as mugwort, which is another amazing medicinal plant that I absolutely love, but it is not part of the true sage family, the salvias, like white sage and black sage. However, it does have really good medicinal properties, similar to real sage. It's a phenomenal wood for friction fire. It's the only wood that I've ever used wet to create a bow drill fire. Every other wood that I know of has to be dry, thoroughly dry and dead in order to create friction. Not only is the wood great for friction fire, but the bark itself is amazing. And anything that you can do that with, that you can mash it up into a ball and it doesn't break up and crumble and fall apart, works great usually as tinder, provided it's dry. You have to have all of the components of tinder: light, thin, dry and fluffy. You have all of them, you know it's going to work. And perfect tinder. The leaves and the seeds are also very useful. So right now we're not going to see too many of them, but right over here, this is where the seeds would sprout. The seeds we used as a survival food, so like anything, dried out, mashed up, made into flour, and then made into some sort of a cake, which was typical for the Native Americans, make it up into a little mush cake. The leaves, however, that's where we find our medicinal effect. The sage, you cannot deny the smell when you mash it up. It has that camphor, minty-like smell. So how have I used it? You're out in the bush and you've drunk some bad water, you've eaten something bad and your stomach is not happy. This stuff here is phenomenal. You just make it into a tea. The same goes with mugwort, same family, and I've used mugwort to unbelievable success with gut parasites, upset stomachs, sleep aid. It really promotes relaxation, promotes digestion. Absolutely phenomenal. Plus its antiseptic properties are so strong, you can apply it straight into wounds to kill bacteria and things like that. Yeah, so making a tea out of sagebrush, much better to steep than to boil. So bring the water to a rolling boil, chuck your sage in and cover it up for at least 15 minutes. It's a very strong tea to drink, just like mugwort. It is extremely strong. But that, to me, is how I know I'm getting the medicinal benefits. Most of you might know that charcoal, activated carbon, is what we're really talking about. But you know, you don't really get the activated carbon out of charcoal, but it's the closest thing we can get into the wild for brushing your teeth. It's a good old bushcraft trick. So what I like to do is, when I mash up my charcoal with a little bit of water and I make it into a paste, I like to take sage leaves and mix it in too, so that it actually gives your toothpaste that minty flavor and it has extra antiseptic properties to it. So great bushcraft toothpaste. Another thing too that I have used a lot is you'll break off the lengths like this and get yourself a nice big pile of them in your hand, nice handful, and nature's toilet paper. It doesn't work as well as like Mullen for toilet paper. It's not as comfortable, but because of the antiseptic properties, you are kind of taking care of yourself and your hygiene by using this as toilet paper. Mugwort is from the same family as coastal sagebrush and therefore has the same medicinal properties, if not a little stronger. However, the superior thing about mugwort is that the leaves make unbelievable tinder. It doesn't work very well through my experimentation when you throw a spark into it with a ferro rod. However, for a bow drill ember, it is phenomenal. It's kind of like a coal extender. Okay, I'm just using a lighter right now, but the smell of mugwort is very distinct. Very, very distinct. I would go as far to say as this is my absolute favorite medicinal plant. This plant can literally cure gut parasites. I've had it happen with students that I've taught before. It promotes a phenomenal sleep. It promotes digestion. It does have some psychoactive properties, so it will give you, if you smoke it, that effect. So what I typically do is I take the fresh mugwort, not the dead stuff, and I'll eat 2 or 3 leaves before I go to bed, and I will sleep like a baby, but I will have lucid dreams, which, you know, each to their own. I enjoy. The Native Americans believed, or should I say used, the mugwort as an energy purifier to ward off bad energy and to purify yourself. So I've used it for that purpose, and I've found, for me, there is definitely a deep connection that I've formed with this plant. So that's been at least 3 or 4 minutes, and it's just still smoldering away. Great tinder and great medicine. Mugwort is definitely a plant that everyone should know. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you would like to learn more on bushcraft, then please hit the subscribe button. Alternatively, you can visit my website, www.bushsurvivaltraining.com. It should pop up on the bottom of the screen somewhere there. And we run field courses, online courses. We have an amazing opportunity this October in Africa with the Hadza Bushmen. So go and visit the website to check out more info on that. Please tune back in for part 2. Part 2 is going to feature more plants. We're going to look at some cougar tracks, fresh cougar tracks, and we'll also find out what we captured on that game camera.